7. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, and X. And for the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. And that's just a sampling. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. For laptops, mobile phones, and tablets, download the Roku app. National Streaming Sports, live and on demand, sports talk for America.
The Big Football Show, every Sunday at 8 a.m. on Roku at 4 p.m. Yes, we're ready for this. And I don't know about you all. Good morning, James. Good morning, Sonia. Yes, Angles in our green room right now. He'll be up in a second. I have never seen so much football in the last few days in my life. College, bro. Everybody's playing. It's hard to keep up with everything, James. So, I mean, I hope you all enjoyed it. I sure couldn't watch every one of the games. Let me go back and check. I hope you all enjoyed it. I sure couldn't watch every one of the games. Good morning, everyone. We're got a little delay there with Sonia, so that's you're going to hear us a little bit. You're going to hear my voice twice. It's got it up there once, but you're going to hear it twice as we go along. As we go along. So, Sonia, what I'm going to do?
Football. Good morning, gentlemen. It's been you cannot keep up with all the games.
All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mute you until you have something to say or ask a question, and that way they won't confuse the viewers. Okay? To say or ask a question, and that way they won't confuse the viewers. Okay?
All right.
All right. There we go. Now it makes sense. I can hear myself talk. Anyway, let's get to some of the quick news before we get to the Reverend of college football himself, Keith Angle. Who needs a rest? The Ravens. Three games, 11 days, over 30 points a game. Ha. Ravens are hot coming into the playoffs. Seahawks and the Bears. What is it with the Bears head coaches? They don't know when to call a timeout at the end of the game. I mean, it's simple. You got timeouts. Use your timeout. Kick a field goal. Tie the game for Christ. We do 2-minute warnings in high school, for Christ's sake. I shouldn't say 2-minute warnings, but a 2-minute drive in high school. We practice that. They don't do that in the pros. I don't get it. Jalen Hurts playing against the Cowboys. Interesting, right? I mean,
very interesting.
Yes, this is a big game. I mean, we'll see what happens. I guess Kittle, Pickett.
But Hurts is out, though.
Hurts is out, correct?
Pickens is getting a start.
Yeah, Hurts is out. So you got him out, CeeDee Lamb out with a shoulder. Of course, he doesn't want to hurt himself anymore his last two games. Saquon Barkley needs 268 yards in 2 games to break Eric Dickerson's record. Of course, that's with more games. What do you guys think? Do you think he'll do it?
Look, without Jalen Hurts, I think they're going to put 8 in the box to try to stop him from doing that. Nobody wants to have anybody breaking records on them, especially at the end of the season, and you're not doing good. You have some sense of pride. You want to slow him down. But with that said, I think he has a great opportunity to do it. They still have weapons. I think Kenny Pickett could get the ball out to their weapons on the outside and still allow some room for Saquon to run. So I think he's going to do it. I think it's going to happen.
I think it's going to be a little difficult, to be honest with you. Hopefully the audio is a little better. I have my AirPods in now, guys.
Yes.
All right. Perfect. Thank you. I think they're going to be trying to really limit him. You got to think about it. He's been having a really knockout season all season. Everybody knows this dude is playing lights out. So if you're on the opposite side of the ball, you're thinking whatever we need to do to stop this guy, we're going to absolutely do it. Now, 200 yards doesn't sound like a lot, but it can be a lot if you think about the fact that Jalen Hurts is not in today. And hi, Keith.
Well, Keith, welcome in. And Keith, I mean, I think my game plan, if I'm going against the Eagles, is to stack the line and stop Saquon. I ain't worried about Pickett, right?
I wouldn't be. Saquon can't beat me if Hurts isn't in the game. Anybody else can beat me today, but not Saquon Barkley. Great.
I agree. Tua's been downloaded to doubtful. I guess he's I
believe he's out.
I think he's out now. Yeah, he's out.
Yeah, I just checked before I came in. He said doubtful, but you guys might be right.
Yeah. Yesterday, one of the games had him out. I don't remember which one.
Flacco is going to start against the Giants. As you can see, I am a Giant fan. I am still wearing my Giants jerseys, whether it's just the way it is. The way it is, man. You got to do it. You got it. So, Keith, a bunch of bowl games yesterday. Some meant something, most meant nothing. Well, I shouldn't say mean nothing. I mean, it means something to the players, right? They win a bowl game. Start off with Vanderbilt over Georgia Tech. Keith, pretty good game.
Very good game. I thought, and I know we talked some games Friday, and I like Georgia Tech in this game. It's hard. It's hard if you, especially if you want to bet a game, because you don't know who's playing and who's not.
Right.
Vanderbilt played very well. Both teams were lacking a lot of guys in the team, so it was kind of a crapshoot. But good year for Vanderbilt. They finished over 500 for the first time in 11 or 12 years. Good for them. Good and not a bad season for Georgia Tech. Something to build off of. And these games, while they may seem like they mean nothing, and I deride them a lot myself, they're important to the schools because they get to practice an extra month, and that means a big deal for some of these young kids and building these programs for the following years. So while the games weren't all that exciting necessarily this weekend, there was a couple, but they're useful games. And I did pick Georgia Tech Sunday, or Friday when we talked about it, so I had a loser there.
USC beats Texas A&M. Are you surprised about that too, Keith?
A little bit with again, Texas A&M played without their starting quarterback, so these are, and so did USC. Quite frankly, Miller had hit the transfer portal. Again, toss-ups, a little bit surprising, and quite frankly, there's some unhappy. I can't understand why. There's some very unhappy A&M fans for losing this bowl game under Mike Elko, who's done a great job this year, by the way. And it just shows you how unreasonable some of these college fan bases.
Ungrateful.
Right. I am ungrateful, yes.
Yeah. I mean, you're as good as the last game. I mean, come on. I mean, your program's getting better. I don't get it either.
Yeah.
Arkansas gets by Texas Tech. Arkansas is always a gritty team all year. I mean, they didn't win every game, but they were always gritty.
They played better than expected. So Sam Pittman was coaching for his job, basically, and kept it. And this was a nice win. Again, another team depleted by opt-outs, but they played very well, and I think it's a good win for Arkansas. Arkansas, it's going to be very tough for the Arkansas and Mississippi States of the world in the SEC to compete year after year. Anyway, they're just going to have hope to be able to catch lightning in a bottle once every 8-9 years. But Arkansas has had some talent on the offensive side of the ball for sure, and they'll be a tough out, I think, again next year. I think they've got a transfer quarterback coming in, and it's escaping me right now. Everybody does, I guess, but I like their chance. Look, they'll be in the middle of the pack next year and have some chances to win some games.
Syracuse had a pretty good season, Keith. I mean, they had to beat Washington State 52-35. One time, you got to go way back now. Syracuse was a powerhouse in the East. Is there a chance for them to get back in that kind of position?
Well, they're heading that way, and again, consistency is going to be very difficult to maintain in college football for teams like Syracuse, the Georgias, the Alabamas. They'll always be, have a chance to win year after year, but the Syracuses of the world are going to have a harder time, and they were a really good team for, again, not year in and year out, but they had some really good teams in the old Big East and even before that. They had a great year this year. And by the way, we talked about opt-outs. Not one of their 22 starters opted out of this game. So Fran Brown said, we don't opt out. They had some opt-outs, don't get me wrong, but he said, we don't opt out because they were asking about Kyle McCord. We play football. And they played really good football against a Washington State team that their starting quarterback, we were looking forward to a kind of an elite quarterback matchup with Mateer and McCord, and Mateer had transferred out. But Washington State played a game. They were, for a while they were in this game, but this Holiday Bowl, for whatever reason, is always an 80-point game. I don't know why, but the Holiday Bowl is always one of the more fun ones to watch. And Syracuse, Fran Brown, to your original question, sorry, I kind of circled around it. Fran Brown is, I think, the right hire here. He's doing a really good job of changing the culture in Syracuse. And there's some talk Kyle McCord may get another year if he wants to come back. The NCAA may give him some special dispensation for something, because I guess we can just do that, just say, you get one more year. But there's some talk he may come back, and he's had a great year.
Good morning, Rick. Glad you joined us this morning. I had to stop for a second. This morning, I'm watching SportsCenter, and there's a Pop-Tart Bowl.
That's a Miami game. Yeah. There's been a Pop-Tart Bowl for a while, and you play for a giant toaster, and you get to eat a giant Pop-Tart when you win the game. It's the ridiculous things I've ever seen.
It's goofy, Keith.
It is
Toasted him.
beyond goofy, James. It's stupid.
Yes. I wouldn't nicely.
When I talk about bowl games and having half the bowl games, this is one that can go away, by the way.
I was
the
like
mayonnaise. The mayonnaise is disgusto barfo. They need to
Dude,
call
yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But this is what happened when you don't win the 2 games that keep you out of the playoffs. You end up in the Pop-Tart Bowl.
It's a shame that teams that have great seasons, both these teams had really good seasons anyway, right? But you end up in a nothing. They don't even have a real name for the bowl. It's just whatever the sponsor is, which about half the bowls are now.
yes.
And it was a really good matchup too. It was a up and down, just like we kind of thought. I mean, nobody played any defense in this game. And
Until dun, 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 dun.
James and I were talking about why Cam Ward came out in the second half. I think it was a mutual decision. The more I look into it today, I think both sides determined they wanted to play the first half. He had some records he was going after. He got them. And I think both sides decided not to play him, give the other kids some action and some experience. Now, I will say this. I don't understand my God, what's my coach's name? I just forgot my coach's. Help me out, James.
Shoot.
Marco.
You guys
Cristobal.
were talking about that during the NFL game in the chat.
Yeah, I don't understand. I was watching both games at the same time. So he, again, just like at Syracuse, he didn't learn anything. He's not stopping anybody, and he kicks a field goal. There's 9 minutes left this time, not 4. But field goals at the 4-yard line aren't going to win games where you're giving up long drives for touchdowns every single time you give up the ball. So they inevitably lost the lead. What I didn't get, James, and the rest of you, I would have put Cam Ward back in the game for the last drive.
The last drive, yes.
The last drive. They had a chance. All they need was a field goal to win. They get 40 yards and they kick a field goal and win. I'd have put Cam back in the game. But it shows you they don't care about these games either. The coaches don't care about winning and losing. They just care about getting guys playing time. I really believe that's becoming true.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I know Bill Belichick went to the University of North Carolina, and there's a reason for that. I found out what the reason was yesterday. UConn opened a can of whoop ass at University of North Carolina. They beat the hell out of them, Keith. What happened there?
Belichick. Oh, you said he went to. Oh, he was going to coach there. I thought you meant he went there. He didn't go there. Well, he didn't go to the game yesterday. I was a little surprised he didn't show up to at least watch the team get their ass kicked. UConn's had a decent year under Jim Mora. I think they're 9-4 for the season after that game. That's a big game. regardless, we talk about them being not meaningful, but teams like UConn, that's a meaningful win for them. Even though it's not a good UNC team, that's a nice win for Jim Mora and UConn. And 2 of the 3 years he's been there, he's had pretty good teams. So you've got something to look forward to maybe in Connecticut, Mac. Or not.
I mean, it's just, I mean, he could be a great coach. You could be a great coach, but not have the resources to do.
No, he's never going to compete with the rest of the big boys. And they got to play a league. They need a league, and they can't find one. So they've toyed with the Big 12 several times, and it hasn't happened.
Horrible.
Yeah. What league could you go into? The Atlantic? I mean, what league could you go into?
Well, the team they've had the most team, the league they've had the most.
A Big East anymore. So where do you go?
Well, they were in the AAC for a while, the American Athletic Conference, but that didn't work out for the basketball team. There's been talk with the Big 12 several times. They've been in serious discussions with the Big 12 because the Big 12 needs a team on the Atlantic coast, right? I mean, why not travel 5,000 miles for games? Everybody else is doing it. But they keep falling through because they don't bring enough to the conference. Yes, right. There's got to be some give and take. They'd bring more on the basketball side than they would on the football side, obviously.
The Big 12 is going to end up absorbing
100%.
everybody at some point. It's just going to be 2 divisions before it's all said and done. The Big 12 and the SEC. That's
Big 10. I think you mean a Big 10.
Big 10. Yeah, Big 10.
They can't count. There's 18 teams, but they can't count. There's higher education. We don't worry about the number of teams in the league.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Jack is not at Shuffleboard Tournament. He froze up, and I'm gonna try and send him a link here in a minute. Let's see.
Is
Nebraska
he Shuffleboard Tournament?
Huh?
Is he literally at a
Shuffleboard?
Y'all funny.
No, he's not.
Oh, I'll let it get away.
Rick, Yes. So I got to resend him a link. I guess he's having a problem coming in. So Nebraska and Boston College, another good game, Keith.
Another good game. I think it's a nice win for Nebraska because it was not as good a year as we expected from Matt Rule. We thought they'd take another step anyway. But they finished the year on a winning note. They've got a freshman quarterback who's staying, which is good news. But also a good season for Boston College and Bill O'Brien, their first year there, I think. Another team, though, that like Syracuse is going to have a hard time competing for players in this in the environment that we have today in college football. But it was a decent game. Boston College made a game of it later in the game, but Nebraska holds on to win.
Matt Rule.
Yeah. Are the 2 military schools? Go ahead.
One more time, sorry.
The 2 military schools. Okay, that's all right. The 2 military schools, Navy and Army, both win.
I will toot my horn a little. I told you here Friday that Navy would beat Oklahoma, and I think you were a little surprised at that pick. They actually got behind, I think, 14-0 in this game, and ended up with a 1-point victory. Great season for both. Navy and Army just dominated Louisiana Tech, who's, by the way, 5-7 and doesn't belong in a bowl game. But Marshall lost half their roster and couldn't play in a bowl game, so we got to put somebody there. But nice season for both those teams. Navy with finishes, I think, maybe 12-2, and Navy had 3 losses, but they beat Army, so that's their big. Army gets a little bit of a. Able to kind of wash that out of their mouth a little bit, but that's still their season, right? If you're not winning a national championship and you're losing to Navy, that's still probably upsetting. But all in all, a very good season for Jeff Moncton and Army.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean,
and Daly set a record yesterday, I believe, as well for rushing touchdowns. Maybe by a quarterback. I'm not sure what the exact record was, but he's a fun guy to watch. Again, you're never going to see him play football again, and it's exciting to watch those guys who are going to go now serve their country. I always root for those guys. Always.
Well, I mean, they still could come back after their tour is over and play. I mean, it's 4 years. People have done it.
Very few have. Staubach, obviously, the most prominent one. Napoleon McCollum in the 80s or 90s.
McConkey did.
McConkey did. Yeah.
So there's been a few. What he reminds me of, the quarterback of Army. It's sort of like the guy from New Orleans, the one that can do everything. Throw, run, he's a tight end.
Taysom Hill,
yes.
Yeah.
That's who he reminds me of. I mean, he's just a big, tough kid. Shouldn't be a quarterback. That's where they put him. But he's really not a quarterback.
He can't throw the football, that's for sure. And that offense, it's okay because you throw the ball 3 times a game, so it's not that big a deal. But he's a fun player to watch, though, man. These guys, there's no give up in these guys, and it's fun to watch them. A lot of people don't think so in today's game, of spread offenses and 5 wide receivers, but I like it. It's a little bit different and something, and you got to root for the military academies.
Yeah,
there's something to be said about running the football, man, and doing it from different aspects of the game. And I think there's a resurgence in the NFL, just not to get off of college, but there's a resurgence in the run game with the different running backs.
Great point.
Everywhere. Yeah,
great point.
Definitely. Speaking of, there wasn't much running done here, but Keith's Patriots kind of got walloped by the Chargers, 40-7. Herbert, 281 yards, 3 touchdowns. McConkey, not related, 2 receptions for 2 touchdowns. I mean, they were all over your quarterback, May. He threw 1 good pass, really, under duress too. Your running game wasn't really that good. He had a couple moments, but really the Chargers just dominated the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, the Chargers obviously have much more to play for. They clinched a playoff spot yesterday, but you saw the differences in a growing football team and a football team that's stagnant. Patriots got Cole Strange back for the first time all year, and he played center for the first time in his career. So it didn't really help the offensive line as he's got a learning curve. They were bad in every phase of the game. And this is, again, we've talked about Mayo's future, and I think Kraft will keep him, but they laid it on. This doesn't help him because the crowd turned ugly yesterday.
Sure did.
It got very ugly for Mayo. Mayo says he never heard it, but if you didn't hear it, you got to be deaf because this still could go bad for Mayo. We'll see.
I think they got hyped up on the fact that they played so good against the Bills the previous week. I mean, they really did give the Bills a run for their money. And I think they were kind of riding on that a little bit. And then to come in and just be like, wow, obliterated is shocking.
Yeah. And, I'd really like to give the Patriots a lot of credit for where they played last week, but I think it was much Buffalo kind of with a down. Buffalo just come off of 4 really tough games, right?
And tired.
I think it's a perfect place to let down a little bit. And the Patriots should have won that game, really. But they didn't play good enough. Oh, Jesus Christ.
We got Pags and Keith on together. Look at that. Holy cow. It doesn't happen that much. So we got them both on. Yes. So before we get going with that, I want to get your picks in, Keith, and then I'll go with Pags too, because I don't know how long it got to be here. Look at that. We got Jack coming in too. We'll get a full house.
Okay.
Yeah. What are your 3 picks?
I had already picked Baltimore over Houston on Christmas Day, +5 or -5.5. I think so.
Yeah, that don't work.
It don't work.
Yeah. Pick another one.
I said my picks.
That's already done.
That's what happened with me too.
We're picking.
Don't worry, Keith. I got the same
It doesn't matter. We're picking for the viewers of the games for today. We're not picking. That's game over.
I'm going to blame James. They'll send out those games. You eliminated half the card for me to pick. Anyway, whatever. I'm not going to argue. Redskins -4. Green Bay +1. And now you got to wait a minute while I give you another game. Sorry.
Oh, man.
Just against the Giants.
Sassy with me. Go fast.
Change the rules.
Okay, go.
I will take.
No rules change. We picked Sunday's games on.
I'm not arguing.
When have we?
I have been able to pick every game once the games were sent to me. I picked Baltimore. That's all.
I actually agree with you, Keith.
I don't think there's a lot of money involved here, so I'm not really concerned about it. So I will take all the other games.
Then I could have picked all Saturday. I could have picked all. Wait. I don't give you guys my picks. I could have picked all Saturday games and said I went 3-0.
No, you couldn't. I said
I'm not going to do that.
the game was played.
Oh, hilarious.
My
I'm
fault for saying
saying
those
I
things.
could have.
Please,
You're
please, do
fired,
me a
James.
favor. Hold on.
Yeah,
Tim, I have to
James.
say something first. I'm not. Can I say something?
Good.
Because I'm not arguing. It's fine if you want to do it this way. Do not imply that I posted the pick. The pick
my
was
God.
in well before the game was played. So please don't imply I did that. That's what you
I
just
tell you,
did.
this makes for a riveting
Yeah, I'm
show.
playing that.
Oh my
It
God.
does, right? Yeah.
Look at the Ravs getting out of line, honey. He's out of behind the pulpit. This
Oh
morning.
God! Just give me the whatever. Give me the Saints -2.
Oh,
Right.
Lord.
Oh,
There you go,
Yes.
James. I'll jinx you now because I would have had 3 winners. Now I'll have 3 losers because
Yay.
I really don't care. I just don't
In fact,
don't
I
imply
don't know how
that.
long. Pags, I don't know how long. Keith, we didn't imply anything. We
You
didn't
just
imply
said,
anything. The only
Matt,
thing I'm saying is we're picking
after the show.
what?
You said you could pick all of yesterday's games and said you had all winners. I didn't do that. I picked before the game was played.
All we are
I didn't say
saying
you did. I didn't say you did.
is give peace a chance.
It doesn't matter. I don't. It's fine. It's all good. It's all good. I got the Saints today then. Saints, Redskins,
All right.
Green Bay.
Okay.
Oh, I'm not gonna get off this.
Good.
Okay, Pags, I don't know how long you're staying, so what are your 3 picks?
I don't even know who I picked, but I know I
got-
emailed it.
I got them for you. It's Arizona, Indiana, and Indianapolis, and Miami.
So Indianapolis, though, I was all excited because I'm in my fantasy football championships, and Richardson's ruled out.
Oh,
So now I gotta go crazy because Mahomes, I couldn't play Mahomes early enough. Like I didn't realize it was a 1:00 game, so I didn't put him in. He wound up getting 40 points, and now now I gotta go find a quarterback.
Wow.
I want to play the Giants. How about Flacco? Is Flacco going to score a
Flacco's
lot
playing.
of points today? I know Flacco's playing now, but is he going to score a lot of points against the Giants? Is he worthwhile to pick up?
Yeah.
probably not.
Me neither. I don't think so either.
Who isn't
Slacko.
going to score a lot of points against the Giants?
Well, you know what? I expect the Giants to win next week and screw up their whole
But anyway,
pick.
so
No Shador next week. Yeah, you guys are going to win, and then you guys are going to go to the 6th pick in the draft, and you're going to pick 6 again. Probably a Daniel Jones lookalike.
no, I'll tell you the truth, I'm not even concerned about it right now. Not even concerned about it. No, so Keith, it's about the time to leave. Sorry
It
if I said something that ticked you off. I didn't.
No, you're fine. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. It's just a wording and a misunderstanding. It's not a big deal. You don't have to worry about me. I get mad and then I'm
All
not.
love.
All right, Keith. All right.
Bye, guys. Hey, enjoy the games.
Yes.
Go Pat.
Have a good one. Chris.
You
You
guys.
will. Take it easy, Keith.
See you
All
next year.
Cut him off.
There you go. Keith Dangle, college Pat.
Oh boy.
So, guys, we can get to our picks now. We'll start off with one who's in first place right now, and that's James. He's 27-19 and 2.
Lord have mercy.
James, who do you got this week?
All right. So I got Minnesota and Washington and Tennessee. I picked those 3. I think Minnesota at home. That's going to be a tough game. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think they're fighting for that first place. If Detroit loses the game, they win out, they get first place and they get a bye. So I like them to be a little bit more motivated than Green Bay in this situation. And
That's
they
a
got
weird
all
spread.
the
+1. I mean, what is that? What is that in case of a tie or something? What is it? Why is it +1? That makes no sense.
I mean, it's the tight.
Yeah, to make it tie. So when they win by 1 point, it's a pick. It winds up the push.
Right, exactly. So I mean, I think they're going to win by more than that. So then I got Washington. I think Washington is going to beat Atlanta. Michael Penix got to travel to Washington. This is his first real test against a good defense, and Jaden Daniels coming off of unfortunate Pags lost his quarterback, but Jaden Daniels coming off a 5-touchdown game. I think he's going to continue to roll, and I like Washington in that game there, dude.
Okay.
And Tennessee.
So Pags got Arizona, Indianapolis.
Tennessee's traveling to the Jags.
Jack,
Mason,
who's your first? What?
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead. You good? Go ahead.
Jack, who's your pick?
I have a bit of a
Jack, who's your
controversy.
pick?
I had picked the Chargers, and I let you know that by text, Mac, before the game. Yeah. Also, that I was taking the Chargers and giving the points. I let you know that I responded to you, and you didn't tell me. I absolutely had to do it the Sunday pick. I said, we counting the Saturday picks because they were laid out early in the week, and I gave it with ample time to spare. And is that going to get disqualified? Another pick if it is. But
all we are saying.
I mean, there's no controversy.
I don't even want to respond.
Why the pick sent to us for the games before Sunday to select from? That's what I want to know.
You know something? I don't even care anymore. I pick whatever you want to do. I'm tired of arguing. I really am.
Well, you're not arguing.
I mean, am I going to argue with Keith?
Guys, it's just
what is
today's
the
games
deal?
have not been played. Just find a substitute. That's what I did.
Is it going to be taken? You want me to substitute a game that I already?
Yes, that's what I did.
I will call it a penalty and the play is done over. Okay,
Oh,
I will call it that.
All right.
Okay, I'll give the two other picks and then I'll give a third pick and I'll take away the Charger thing. I'll take the Buccaneers and give 8 points against the Panthers. Sorry, Sonia. Tampa Bay, big game for the Buccaneers. You know, they need a little help in it. It's crucial to them. Not only they have to win today, but they really need a lot of help from Washington to beat Atlanta. If they do, then they're in great shape, for the playoffs. If not, it's very precarious for the Bucs if they're one game behind going to the final game of the season because Atlanta has the tiebreaker, and like I said, the Bucs are a game behind them. I'll take the Lions, give 3.5 against the 49ers in San Francisco. This isn't the same 49er team. They have nothing to play for. The Lions have something to play for. And the Lions are flat out just a better team now. And then there's the X factor, the revenge thing, even though it won't make up for losing the NFC Championship game. Believe me, they have bad memories of blowing that game the second half, the NFC Championship game against the 49ers. And the Lions, going to want to have a little bit of payback, you would think, even though the situation's a bit different. And the third game, I guess I'll take the Dolphins are playing at Cleveland. I guess I'll take the Dolphins to break out and finally have a big game out there points and take Miami.
All right, I wrote that down for you, Jack.
Yeah.
All right, so
in my picks, I had the Chiefs. I had the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Chargers. I also had Seattle. I took Seattle and I brought the points down to 2.5.
Did you do that? All right. Let me get to my picks here. I love this picks. Let's see. So, let's see. Linda has Minnesota, Detroit, and she also got Buffalo. And let's see. I took Washington.
Wait, what was the third pick you said?
Buffalo and Detroit.
Thank you.
Buffalo.
All right, cool.
And I got Washington, Buffalo, and Detroit also. Sonia, what do you got?
James, can you remind me who I picked? Since I'm driving?
Yes. You got Carolina, Detroit, and Indianapolis.
Yeah, definitely Carolina because of the points. I just don't think it's the points at a minimum. Okay, even if we lose, it's not going to be Yeah, Tampa got to stay in and win and all that stuff, but Bryce Young has been looking a lot better, and this is a divisional wrap-up of the season, and sometimes you have these teams that have nothing to lose that play the hardest at the end, and so I'm taking us today. Indy, I didn't know that Anthony Richardson was out. Who were they playing? The Titans?
The Giants.
The
Oh, they're
Giants.
playing the Giants? Oh, no, neither way, they should still win. Okay, thank you for that. Sorry, Mac. And then, of course, D Tweezy, the obvious.
Oh, it's true. Hey, I agree with you. There's no doubt there. So that's it for all the top 3 picks. We finally made it through, longer than expected. So we got one of the favorite sticks we do here every Sunday. We do the Just Ask Jack trivia question, and this, of course, is the question for Jack here. Let's put our little thing on here. Yes, sir. I get it? Yes. Who is the first NFL running back to run for 1,000 yards, Jack?
Wow.
I'll go back a ways. So,
it's got to go back.
I have faith in you. I have faith in you, Jack. I really do.
I mean,
First running back in the NFL history to run for 1,000. What's that?
I am, man, oh,
Okay.
man. I mean, if you got
before you get it, we got to do our commercials. I'm gonna give you a chance.
It's before the
I'm gonna give
Super
you a
Bowl
chance.
era. It's before the Super Bowl era.
Yes, it definitely is. It definitely is before the Super Bowl era. But I'm gonna give you a chance. You got a commercial here. Just think about it. Oh my God. This show is brought to you by BetUS.com. 125% off your first 3 deposits, 30 years experience, secure site, wagering for all sports, including during the games and futures. SeatGeek provides you the best prices on sports and music events, game tickets, and concerts. Use NSS promo code to get $20 off your first ticket. Keep using the NSS promo code when purchasing tickets for great deals in the future. In Fanatics at nessp.info for your favorite teams, sportswear. Click on the link, and while you're there, check out our national streaming sports merchandise.
Yo, you already know it's your boy LCF. I just tore it up for Zodiac TV. Shout out DJ Epps. Oh man, it was great, man. We did an interview. Then I hit the stage. The crowd was amazing. They gave me all their energy. I gave them that energy back. Linked up with some dope artists in the building. Zodiac TV, man. Hey, we gonna celebrate for the rest of the night, you know what I mean? With some Bel Air. Shout out my nigga Rose. Holla at your boy. I mean, boss shit, you already know. But we tore it up, man. Performance was amazing. The set was amazing. Zodiac TV, shout out y'all boys, man. Thank you for having me. You already know I'm gonna come back. Your boy finna come back. You know what I mean? Go to work, did it all for nothing. Make sure y'all go get that single, available on all platforms. Let's go.
My girl just told me that she pregnant, we expecting the shit. So I had to buckle down, accelerate, no slowing down. Some people, that's why I don't come around.
Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows, giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live and on demand sports talk for America.
Do it for nothing.
Jack. Yes, sir. I know you all love that commercial. Love playing it. So, we have who was the first running back? Football, NFL, to run for 1,000.
I thought of 3 or 4 guys, but I'll have to go with the most obvious choice because if I don't go with him, then, I wouldn't forgive myself because it's too obvious. Jim Brown?
No, it's not Jim Brown. It's way before Jim Brown, before Bronco Nagurski, before the Red Grange. I mean, it was way back in 1934. The guy's name was Beatty Feathers in 1934. I'm thinking everybody should know this, right?
Everybody should know this.
Yes, everybody should know this. Everybody knows who. Yes, I mean,
you could have been able to give us multiple choice, and we still would have all gotten that wrong.
Exactly.
My grandmother was 5 years old.
I agree. I agree. Listen, I didn't know it either.
Jack was just graduating high school back then, though. So
that's true. But I think that's stuff like you know who threw for the first 4,000 yards, right?
Outside chance of getting it.
Actually, the truth of the matter is that you would have been better to ask that question. Who did he play for?
Yeah, that would have been all right if I said who he played for, because Chicago and Green Bay, and there's only a few teams back then. But anyway,
well, 34, the Giants and the Eagles were both in there then.
My question is, how many games did they play?
Yep.
That's impressive.
It was a
12.
4-week season.
10.
It was a 4-week
10 games.
10 games.
That's impressive. That's actually impressive.
Yeah. So that's the way it was back then. 10 games. It went to 12. Jack, help me out. Maybe in the early 70s, and then went to 14.
No, it was a 14-game schedule in the
70s. Yeah.
No, in the 60s they were playing 14-game schedule.
Oh, they were? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was back when they had 6 preseason games. It's been 20 games because they've been playing 20 games for a while now. Like I'm saying, like early, since the Super Bowls, they've been playing 20 games. 6 for preseason, and it was 14 games after that.
Yeah, Pax is right. Imagine 14 regular games, 6 preseason games, nearly half your games.
Wow.
Well, we went over the Chargers New England game. Denver and Cincinnati, that was a heck of a game. Went to overtime.
Yeah, well,
now the Bengals are still overtime 38. What was 38 to 34? Am I saying it right? Anyway, 30
to
24. My bad. Joe Burrow.
That's it.
38-32. Joe Burrow, 412 yards, 3 touchdowns. Higgins with 131 yards and 3 touchdowns. And Knicks played well too. I mean, it looked like in the beginning it was going to be a defensive battle. It was 3-0, and then they both opened it up. So Cincinnati's still alive. They're 8-8 right now. But still alive. They know how to.
Mac. It's easy to say a team's still alive, but they're a real long shot. They need so many scenarios to go right. They're basically out of it. They need a lot of luck. It should be pointed out that technically they're not eliminated. That's what
mathematically right.
They're mathematically not eliminated, but they need a lot to go right. By saying they're still alive, it makes it seem like, there's great hope there.
They're on life support.
They need 3 teams to win or tie. It's just a whole bunch of stuff.
Denver wins next week.
Go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I thought it was really simple. The Bengals are in. If Denver loses, then they win next week.
No, there's more than that. They need some additional help.
No.
Yeah, the Colts. The Colts got to lose. Pags. There's a little bit more. They got the less amount chance to get in the playoffs. Yeah.
Oh, I thought that Miami was the only team that wound up getting. By the Chargers winning, I thought Miami was knocked out. They are no longer able to get in the playoffs. Maybe I'm wrong.
I know Denver still has their if they win next week, they're in. So they got to beat the Chiefs.
Right.
So.
I want their behinds out.
Well, listen, guys, you guys have a happy New Year. I got to get going because I'm sitting there watching the tailgate happen and things are going crazy over here. They just got beating up Cowboys fans. And so,
Happy New Year's, man.
Happy New Year's, guys. And I'll see you next week.
Take care,
All right, see you next
You
year.
too, buddy.
I'm looking
Sounds
at
good.
every playoff tracker, and it's only a guide, nothing more. It says the Broncos have a 59.6% chance of making the playoffs. It says the Colts have an 18% chance. The Bengals have an 11.8% chance, and the Dolphins have a 10.6% chance. So realistically, the Broncos have a decent chance, a little more than 50%. So when you say the Bengals are live 11.8%, they can still make it. Teams have made it with low percentages. I mean, think the Falcons and the Patriots in the Super Bowl, and it was something like a 99.8% chance of Atlanta to win the game late in the game, yet they lost the game. So I don't know whether you believe in this stuff, but you're looking at the NFC, the teams that still haven't clinched the playoff thing. The Commanders, they say a 93.2% to make the playoffs. So they look like a virtual lock statistically. But this is what's interesting. The Falcons are 50.3% chance, half 50% about, and the Buccaneers like 56.4% to make the playoffs. So I don't get this.
Because somebody said it best. The Falcons will not win out. They're going to win one and lose one. And I think it's going to be the same situation with Tampa Bay. That's why the odds are so close for both of them to make it. Because even though the Falcons own the tiebreaker between them and the Bucs, they have to win out. Like one loss for them and they're out regardless. So both of them
they're not out. Wait. If the Falcons split and Tampa Bay splits in next two games, the Falcons get in.
But that's what I'm saying. Neither one of those teams can win out. If the other team wins out, that's it for the South. That's what I'm saying.
Then the Falcons in, they both win out. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I hear what you're both saying. Yeah.
Yes. So one last game to cover, then we'll take a look at the playoff picture and what they have here. The Rams defensive game beat the Cardinals 13-9. Really not a lot of offense at all. 3 field goals by Arizona. Rams with 1 touchdown. Stafford doesn't throw for a touchdown. Puka has a good game. Williams gets the touchdown. So the Rams right now are in first place in the West. That's the way it is right now.
The Rams, I got to give them credit. After they won the Super Bowl, we thought they were going to transition. They were going to have to rebuild at a certain point. But they've stayed relevant. They're not a powerhouse. They're not favored to go to the Super Bowl. But they've been making the playoffs. They've been relevant. They've been finding a way to get it done. And think about this season. Going into the year, how many people actually picked the Rams to win the division? And they got off to a very slow start that seemed to validate maybe they should start rebuilding. And here they are. And in the playoffs, they have a real good defense. I mean,
and he's just there. Yeah.
Let's just be real. The 49ers just fell off. They were the pride of that division. And with injury, I mean, it happens to everybody, but to key players, trust me, I know with the Saints, in no way am I comparing my team to the 49ers, but I'm just saying when you lose quarterback, you lose running back, you lose wide receivers, people who are stars in the league, then that really hurts your team. And it hurts. But I mean, look, I'm going to give credit though to Sean McVay and what he's done with his team. I think Sean McVay is one of the better coaches of this league. And I think he matches up well with his offense and their defense, surprisingly, matches up well pretty much against any team. And if I'm in the playoffs, I wouldn't want to see them, to be honest with you. Not early on.
You mentioned, James, at the 49ers. Is this year just something to write off injuries and off year? or has their window started to close? Or is it closed? Is it just one of those things you forget what happened this year? You come back, your players are healthy, having a good attitude next year, and then you take another run at the Super Bowl?
I think they got one more year in them. You got guys who started on contracts like Trent Williams. He's out, and I don't know if he got his money or not this year. But then, of course, you're starting to get a lot of injury-riddled players who probably are on their downside, like Deebo Samuels. You know, I mean, the type of player that he is, you know, ultimately that beats you up, and you can see where it's starting to wane on him. And then Christian McCaffrey, I mean, he's had injury-riddled seasons in Carolina, and now you're starting to see it on the side where he's injury-riddled as well here in 49ers. So maybe if everybody regroups, I'd say they probably have one more good year in them before this all blows up.
I don't know if McCaffrey actually comes back, unfortunately. I think he's injured in both legs. He's been running back shelf life is already very short. I think unfortunately, if he comes back, I feel like it'll be very limited. I feel like he may have like a couple of ball out games, and then that'll be it for him. And it's unfortunate because he was with teams that performed less than par with the Panthers. And then when he got with a good team, unfortunately, he was already so injured, from previous incidents that, he was very limited as far as how long he'd be able to stay with this organization. So we'll just have to see.
Yeah, the problem with the 49ers was a problem with the Saints this year too. Probably going to be a problem with the Cowboys is the salary cap. You can't pay all these big salary cap people, I don't care how great they are, and expect to keep that team around. I mean, you look at the Chiefs. The Chiefs are smart. I mean, how many big contracts they got? They got Mahomes, who did take a little bit of a cut. Maybe Kelsey.
Chris Jones.
Chris Jones, good point, Jack. Chris Jones. But I mean, a lot of these guys, they pick up their rookies, or they pick them up from other teams, and they put them in, and they play well. That GM over there is unbelievable. He doesn't get enough credit. I mean, the Eagles GM is good. That Chiefs GM is really good too. So they just keep doing it every year. And speaking of, they are 15-1 guys. 15-1, first seed. You're gonna have to go to Kansas City to go to the Super Bowl. Unbelievable.
Ooh.
And they beat Pittsburgh convincingly. They beat Pittsburgh convincingly.
Really good.
Yeah, well, right now, realistically, if the playoffs began now, and a lot can happen in the next couple of weeks, injuries, momentum could shift a little bit at this point, too. A lot of things could still happen, but let's make believe the playoffs are ready to begin now. Is there anyone outside of Buffalo who would pose a serious threat going to Kansas City to beat them there at this moment? Consider the way the teams are playing now. Let's not talk about their upside. Let's talk about how they're playing. I think Buffalo could conceivably, and I'm not saying they would, go into Kansas City and beat them because they played them tough in Kansas City all the time before. They beat them in the regular season this year. So is there anyone else beside Buffalo who is a threat? That's what
maybe Pittsburgh.
Baltimore. I would say Baltimore.
James, you got to deal with Sonia when she said Pittsburgh the way they're playing now. You deal with Sonia. Okay. She'll say I'm picking on it, please. Pittsburgh would have a hard time beating the Jets at the current time the way they're going. Come on, you know that, Sonia.
I don't think so. It goes back to one of these teams. First of all, it's Mike Tomlin. He has not had a non-winning season. And it kind of goes hand in hand with these teams that are trying to win to stay in. And they're going to win their division. So at the end of the day, I really just feel like, don't sleep on Pittsburgh. That's all I'm going to say.
Listen, I think the Bills have a chance. Baltimore, the way they've been playing lately, they look unstoppable. But they haven't. They still got to beat the Chiefs defense, and you still got Patrick Mahomes to whoever over there. So that's a tough one. Houston looks like they gave up. I know if you watched the game, when it looked like they just gave up. They just beat the hell out of them. Pittsburgh, they fell off, Sonia. I don't know what's going on with the wide receiver Pickett there. Their running game.
Well, they just lost to the Chiefs 29-10.
Yeah,
so
I
what
know.
would make think that they're going to go into Kansas City and beat them in the playoffs? But
Yeah.
things can happen in a couple of weeks. Pittsburgh might get together. Their defense that was pretty good early in the year. And, you never know how things could change. I'm just talking about at the current time.
We do never know, but I got you. I mean, all of your points are very valid and well taken. I'm just saying, don't count them completely out.
Yeah,
I would think that the way, like what Max said earlier, Baltimore's rolling right now. I think that the hump that they got to get over, Lamar has to get over personally, is Kansas City, and to get, they went to the AFC Championship last year and they laid an egg, and I just don't think that's going to happen this year. It's going to be a more competitive game if they lose, but if someone's going to win, it will be because of Lamar and Derrick Henry.
Well, they didn't lay an egg. They lost 17-10 at home. It's unfortunate. It was a game that was there for them to win to go to the Super Bowl, but it's not like they lost by 3-4 touchdowns. You could say the Cowboys laid an egg in the playoffs last year, but when you lose a tough game, it's unfortunate. It's a major disappointment. But Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, two elite quarterbacks haven't gone to the Super Bowl. And, one of them needs to break through at some point in their career. They got years to go, those guys. But, Mahomes,
I just don't know.
Super Bowl and his legacy is set.
I just don't know if the Bills have enough weapons. I mean, they got a good receiving core. Their defense is good. But are they as good as the Chiefs in Baltimore? I mean, if you put them up against each other right now, do they have much weapons as Baltimore? Do they have a good defense as the Chiefs have? I don't know.
I don't know. They're a team that's been able to put up 40+ points several times this year. So I'm not saying that they don't have look at both sides. I mean, what about Patrick Mahomes and his weapons? I mean, who can you name over there that's like? I mean,
now he's getting the weapons. They're coming in groves now. They're coming in groves now. He's hitting everybody. They're all getting on the same page right now, James. The rookie fast kid. Yeah,
I agree. I just think the Buffalo side can do the same thing. They're starting to come into their own. Keon Coleman, I gave him flack at the beginning of the season because he wasn't a good route runner. I like Keon Coleman as a receiver now for them. And then their whole offense, James Cook, they match up well. Both offenses match up pretty well, evenly to me.
Good point about the AFC and the NFC. Sometimes a dark horse, comes out of nowhere and they, make a run. Like we're thinking, of the Ravens and the Bills posing a threat to the Chiefs. But it could be a team like the Steelers if they get it together. A team like the Broncos in the playoffs who get it together, who can maybe make an unexpected run. I'm just saying if the playoffs begin now, so for those other teams, these next couple of weeks could help because look what the Packers did last year. The last couple of weeks they started getting it together, and then they upset the Cowboys in the playoffs, big upset, and they nearly upset the 49ers, came very close.
I mean, if I was going to pick a dark horse in the AFC, it would be the Chargers, right? They got the quarterback. They got a defense. They got a great coach. They got a running game. I mean, that's what you need. I mean, they could stay with anybody maybe. So if there's a dark horse going to happen, I don't know. Maybe they can raise some cane. I mean, they kind of remind me of some other teams that went in wild cards and ended up going all the way to the Super Bowl. So,
the only problem with the Chargers,
they're not great, but they're very.
They just can't get hurt. The Chargers just can't get hurt. They don't have depth, and you see it when they lose players like J.K. Dobbins with the running game. It's just they got to stay healthy in order to really compete.
Yeah. I agree with that. So in the NFC, nothing has been clinched yet. Believe it or not. Detroit 13-2. They haven't clinched home field. They haven't clinched their division. Philadelphia 12-3 hasn't clinched. Washington still has a chance. Minnesota is tied with Detroit at 13-2, and Green Bay, who won't clinch, the division, is at 11-4, but they may get, first wild card. So I mean, to me, those 4 teams, any one of those 4 teams can win this.
Well, no. Actually, the division's probably going to get settled between Minnesota and Detroit. Minnesota plays the Packers today, so who knows? I mean, the Packers could conceivably come ahead of Minnesota, conceivably, but they'd have to beat them today. It's kind of all up in the air, but they're all going to be in the playoffs. It's just a question of seeding. They want that bye. Only one team in the AFC, one team in the NFC gets a bye, and that's the value. It's more than home field. You play one extra game. You need 2 games at home to win to get to the Super Bowl, as opposed to playing a total of 3 games and very possibly having to play the conference championship game on the road. So that bye is enormous.
I mean, let's be clear. The NFC is extremely competitive. The NFC North by itself dominates a lot of those positions because they are literally 1 game apart. And even before the season started, we knew the NFC North would be ultra competitive. Then you take divisions like the South that are not as competitive, but just like Tampa Bay in last year, here we are again in the same position, and they match up that wild card versus this. And before you know it, one of those NFC North people will be, disposed of before we actually get further into the playoffs. So the NFC, everything is going to depend on a lot of games today. There's going to be a lot of seismic shifts. Depends on people can't even rest their starters. These teams can't even rest their starters because it's so competitive that they need to win to stay in and claim their positions. You know what I'm saying? Like the playoff positioning.
I think it all makes for great football. Yeah. Detroit and Minnesota play each other the last game of the season. I mean, who would have thought that these two would be fighting for the top number 1 seed, and they're playing the last game of the season. So like Sonia said, they're not resting their starters. They got to play. So it makes for great football to watch at the end of the season.
Of those 4 teams, Detroit, Philly, Minnesota, Green Bay, who is the most underrated?
The Packers, I think.
I think Green Bay.
They've slipped under the radar. No one is talking about them as being a serious threat to go to the Super Bowl. They're respected, but all we hear about the Lions, the Eagles. I mean, the Packers only 1 game behind the Eagles. The Eagles are 12-3. The Packers 11-4. The Packers' problem is that they're in the same conference with Detroit and Minnesota. And remember, it's not who's the better team during the year that necessarily goes to the Super Bowl. Who's the better team at the time of the playoffs? The Lions have been a better team than the Packers. They've beaten them a couple of times head-to-head. One of the games was close. One was somewhat decisive. But the Packers are kind of the team that has upside, that could peak. And 11-4, I mean, so then in all probability going to finish the year. Let's guess if they split their next 2 games, they're going to be 12-5. I mean, that's a strong record for virtually any other conference. But in their conference, the way Detroit and Minnesota play, it's I think it's going to be a great game today with the Vikings and the Packers. The Packers might lose that, but it's going to be a nail biter that could happen.
I mean, Green Bay came out of nowhere last year, y'all. Remember? We forgot all about them. And then the postseason, here they were, and we were like, whoa, everybody forgot about Green Bay. And they made a solid run while they could. But here they have a very pivotal position that is much better than going into last season. So I think they were overshadowed by so many big stars in that same division and that's probably the best thing. You know, my grandmother used to say, still waters run deep. They're quiet. Nobody sees them coming. And before you know it, bam, here they are.
Yeah, I got to agree.
Go ahead, James.
I agree that Green Bay as well. I would agree. Oh, at the midpoint of the season, I would have said Minnesota because in the beginning, I didn't have Minnesota doing anything. I thought they were going to be at the bottom. I would have had Minnesota being an underrated team, but now everybody knows who they are, and they just been consistent. So you can't call them underrated now because they just show you who they are, and they've been consistent the whole season. And Darnold, I mean, he's just on a resurgence. I mean, I think this is the best Sam Darnold's ever played. I don't think I've ever seen a season like this.
Well, I predicted he would play extremely, extremely well.
You did. I remember that.
But the question is this. and it's been asked all over, what should the Vikings do? It remains to be seen. Obviously, if they win the Super Bowl with Sam Darnold, they've got to make him their quarterback of the future, move on from J.J. McCarthy. No ifs or buts about it. If that should happen.
Why?
But
Jay,
he's only 27. He's only 27, Matt. He's 27 years old. I mean, don't give him the big dollars. You give him the upper mid.
Give him the big dollars.
Oh no, I wouldn't do that. No, not off one season.
No, not to make him one of the 3 top paid quarterbacks in the league. But
if he wins a Super Bowl, you have to.
Right, Sonia. Also, imagine the Vikings win the Super Bowl and Sam Darnold's a Super Bowl MVP, and they don't re-sign him, and they don't have quarterback difficulties right after that. Your franchise never lives it down.
Exactly.
Why do you said get rid of J.J. McCarthy? Why would you do that?
I don't agree with that.
Maybe you can. Okay, I take that back. You're correct. He's young. He's on a rookie contract. You keep him on the roster. You never know if Donald will fall in the future despite a big contract. Look what happened to Kirk Cousins. Exactly. I stand to be corrected there. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, Hurts isn't playing today. Let's just say they lose. Because Hurts doesn't play. Barkley has a good game, but they still lose. Washington has a tiebreaker with Philadelphia. Washington wins. Does because Washington can still clinch. Well, maybe they don't have the tiebreaker. Dallas would have to lose 2. Washington would have to win 2. My bad. Suppose last game, you want to rest your players, but it's for the division. Do you play your hurt players in Philadelphia? Washington, I don't think, has that many injuries to worry about. But do you play your players in Philadelphia to win the division?
Who are they playing? Who's Philadelphia playing their last game?
I don't have that in front of me.
Wait.
Giants. My bad.
I would rest my players.
And I want to secure it. I play my practice squad, and I get to win that way.
I suit up the water.
I would worry, but Philadelphia is not worried. That's their insurance policy. As today goes, they have in the back of their
parking
mind.
Attendant.
We'll beat the Giants. We'll run the score up by the half, and then rest our regulars at half.
Yeah, let them start playing, and then rest the rest. Suit up some parking attendants and go ahead.
Mac, you are taking blows.
You think the Giants want to win because they have an elite draft choice?
Of course they want to win.
Right.
Of course they want to win Philadelphia. Are you kidding me? They would love to beat Philadelphia. That would be something they could win.
No.
They would love that.
Giants could go number 1 and number 2 in the draft. As loyal as their fan base is, let me ask Sonia and James this with your teams. If your teams have a chance, you need a quarterback badly or whatever, and you could go number 1 and number 2 in the draft. And there are a couple of good college quarterbacks out there like Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward. Or you could win a game and slip down to number 6 or so and maybe miss out on those quarterbacks. Do you want to win a virtually meaningless game at the end of the year because you're a fan? As much as you love your team, wouldn't you kind of rather them lose and get that?
I mean, it depends on if it's a big rival that we want to make sure they take that L for the playoffs. Then probably not, because division. Like if it was the Falcons, we want to they messed up our perfect season. They had nowhere to go. The Falcons were not making the playoffs that year, but they made sure they played their starters. And they messed up our perfect season. It's the same thing in a division. Yeah, now if I'm playing New York is an NFC team, but they're not in my division. I'm probably not going to, put my stars out there. I'm like,
the Eagles and the Giants. Wait. The Eagles and the Giants are in the same division, Sonia.
No, that's some she gets that.
I'm talking about my example. Like Jack said my team, so that's why I said as an example. But yeah, with them, they're probably going to just play their starters and you can still play your starters, but just not give it your all.
No, so the players are going to give it their all. It's up to the coaching staff to maneuver things a certain way. Not
play them half the game.
Jack, just off pride alone, you want to win that game. You don't.
And And not only that,
I think the
want to coach
organization
next
still
year.
wants to win.
You want to play next year. If there's any tape of you not trying, if there's any tape of a coach doing some crazy stuff, pulling out. I'm telling you, if there is any
and you're forgetting
inkling,
about quarterback bust. You go in all in for this number one quarterback, and he can still be a bust.
You're right.
Exactly. And who knows how good Shakir is going to be and Cam Ward's going to be. And the only one I like that I think is going to be good is Travis Hunter. I want Travis Hunter. That's who I want. That's the only guy I want. They can keep their quarterbacks this year.
Well, that's it. That's another question that's going to come up. Travis Hunter, to me, is like a sure thing. Okay, he's going to be a great player. Do you pick a quarterback who you're not completely sold on because you need a quarterback? You like him a lot still, but you kind of question how good he might be. I mean, if you take a Cam Ward ahead of a Travis Hunter's the better player, though. That's what bothers me about a selection like that. But you make a need pick, but that's the only position where I can condone a need pick over better players sometimes is it in the quarterback position, depending on, who the players are, of course.
If you're a quarterback needy team in this particular draft, I think if you're a team that has multiple drafts in the first round, then maybe you pick Travis. Like if you're a top selection, you take Travis Hunter first, because he's just that type of player that you don't see often at all. So you take him and then maybe take a quarterback, because the quarterbacks aren't like this quarterback draft this year.
Yeah.
So you take maybe one of the other quarterbacks later on, or maybe preferably in the second round if you can get one of them. Because I'm not saying they're second round guys. They're probably going to go in the first round, but the talent pool there is not like this year's. So.
But you could trade and move up sometimes. So if you want to make a bold move, like the Bears made with the Giants because they wanted to draft Justin Fields. So to move up 10 spots, they gave the Giants the number one pick for next year. And the Giants made their pick. They took Kadarius Toney, who didn't work out. I don't blame the Giants. He had all the talent, and there were character, issues, obviously.
Okay. We got to let Sonia go. She's got to get out of here. Sonia, thanks for stopping in. And we'll see you
guys tonight.
Sonia will be with James on the NFL Download tonight. So check that out.
Yes, and Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year. I'll see you tonight.
Guys, have a great Sunday.
You too.
Bye-bye. So there you go, folks. And we're down to 2. All right. Let's see if I got it right. There we go. So, finishing up with that, we got, like I said, Washington is the next team in line. The Rams, of course, they've wrapped up the West. I'm almost positive there's no way they can lose the West. I don't know if they got 2 games left. Well, Seattle maybe? Does Seattle still have a shot?
Left. The Rams. Yeah, I got to take a look. I think Seattle are they eliminated or what?
No, Seattle is 9-7. They're 9-7 right now. So, and they're one and a half game behind
the Rams.
Behind the Rams. So there's an opportunity there for them.
They don't have the tiebreaker. The Rams clinched the playoff spot.
They did. Okay.
They did. Seattle has no chance. Seattle was eliminated.
Wow.
Yeah.
9-7.
I'm looking at the playoff. It says 0%.
Wow.
0%. Yeah.
And as you all already said, Tampa Bay and Atlanta are with the next best chance to get in. So they're both around 50%.
Taking a look at earning the number one seed according to the playoff tracker, it gives the Lions a 76.4% chance to earn the number one seed, and the Vikings only 19.9%. And the only other team with a chance statistically to earn the number one seed is the Eagles, 3.7%. That's kind of low. And obviously the Chiefs have earned the number one seed in the AFC. But win their division, we talked about the Steelers before. They already clinched the playoff spot, the Steelers, but they have only a 6.9% chance of winning their division, and the Ravens are 93.1%. So the Ravens basically, have it won.
Yeah. So I'm just. It's going to be some good playoff games, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But they all won't go the way we think they are. There's going to be one of them where teams just going to go in and pull a big upset. And, we were talking before. Now I think the team that might do it might be Jim Harbaugh's Chargers, who might go in and just shock someone. They're the type of team that could go into Buffalo and shock the Bills and knock them out.
Sure.
Something like that. Yeah.
Sure. Definitely. So we got the other games that we haven't gone over yet. We'll go over them. We'll go over them. Even went over a little bit before. The Colts -9 at the New York Giants. Big Blue Wrecking Crew.
I think that
9 points.
Wise.
You think they'll cover?
Yeah, I kind of think I could see a 24-17 type game. With the Colts winning, something like that. I could see the Giants playing a game that'll be at least entertaining for the people, and then losing. But what I was saying before wasn't understood. I said as a fan how you'd feel about the Giants' last game of the season. When I'm not talking about players and coaches, let's not bring them into it. They got nothing to do with this. Strictly as a fan, would you rather get that one extra win at the end of the season that's virtually meaningless if it's going to drop you in the draft?
See, it's hard for me, Jack, because I played football. I coached football. I was always win. You got to win. Didn't matter if I was 0-9 in the last game. You got to go to win. I never, as a fan, a lot of fans would rather you lose. I mean, if you're like at the halfway point, you've got a chance they want you to lose. But that's not realistic, right? I mean, then to me, really not a fan. I mean, you want your team to win.
It's hard to root for your team to lose.
Right.
It's really hard to root for them to lose. But in rare cases, if you're going to get a franchise-altering quarterback, it's kind of a little bit different in a sense.
I understand.
And even you take something like basketball, for example. Right before I went to the NBA, Wembanyama. If you knew you would get him and it's the last game of the season, do you want your team to win if you know he could be a play all the years and lose on him?
I get it. But basketball and football are different, right? Basketball, you got 5 players, right? So, I mean, your Jets are playing Buffalo. Do you really want your Jets to lose?
No, I'm going to be rooting for the Jets to win.
Yeah.
But if they won a position and there was a great college quarterback coming out, if Arch Manning was coming out, let's make believe it was Arch Manning with the #1 pick developed. Arch Manning's going to play another year at Texas. But let's say he came out and he was great. And you could have him with the #1 pick, and that was the last game of the year. And if the Jets lost, that would be their guy. I hate to say it, I'm going to be extremely indifferent. I can't just stay there as a fan and say, root against my team when they're on the field. But I'm going to be kind of numb, watching the game. And a part of me is not even going to want to watch the darn game. Just get the results in, How could I be rooting for my team to win? Go, all right, let's score. Let's win this.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be an enthusiasm level, that's for sure.
Yeah.
This is the game that I want to watch. Why? Because I think Buffalo, with a win, Buffalo secures the #2 seed. So, and you get an opportunity for 2 games to rest players if you need to, because you're not playing for anything. You can't get the #1 seed. Your record's not going to matter. Nobody's going to come take your #2 seed.
They don't get a bye, James.
It doesn't matter. I'm just saying, but you'll get their home field advantage up until they get to the AFC Championship if that's where they go to. So yes, it doesn't matter.
Kansas City loses their first game at home. Buffalo, if they won, then they would host the AFC Championship games. It's conceivable you get a number 2 seed, you could still host all the games at home.
No, I mean, well, yes. If Kansas City loses, right, exactly. But if they don't and they win out, they only got to travel one game. They got to travel to AFC Championship to meet Kansas City. Yes. So
let me ask you a question. New York Jets at Buffalo plus 9.5. If you look at the rosters, I think the Jets may have the better roster.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, man, to be honest with you, I'm like, wow, Quinnen Williams on the defensive side, they don't have anything in Buffalo like that. That in the middle like that. I mean, Sauce Gardner, they don't have anything in Buffalo like that.
Wilson. I mean, do they have a Wilson? Do they have a DeAndre? I mean, maybe Josh Allen is better than Aaron at this time in his career, but Aaron ain't that far behind him.
No.
Well, Aaron Rodgers is capable. Let me say this. The Jets are 4-11. Let's say hypothetically, and James is certainly familiar with this guy, Sean Payton had taken over as coach of the Jets. I mean, they would be 4-11.
They'd probably be 11-4. They probably be 11.
Would be 8-7, 9-6. I think they would be 9-6.
Possibly.
Right at the moment. All the games.
For sure.
Yeah.
Coaching matters. It matters.
Oh, a lot. Coaching in both the NBA and the NFL mean a lot. Not that it doesn't mean anything in baseball. It's still important in baseball, but not as big a difference as like NFL and NBA. But coaches, as far as young coaches being let go or being allowed to continue, Gerard Mayo at New England, you kind of hate the idea that he might be let go after 1 year. But if he's not your guy, I'm not a believer, well, you got to give him more than 1 year. I'm like, why if he's not your guy? But then again, I think of Bill Parcells, his situation. He had a terrible first year and then went to George Young, the GM, and said, look, I'm going to be better. I'm going to correct these things. I don't feel once you make a guy a coach, if it's not working out after a year, that's any job in society. You hire a guy. It doesn't mean you stick with him long term. Sometimes you can see he's not your guy. If the Patriots could get Mike Vrabel, that opportunity with a New England Patriot link, do you stay with Gerard Mayo if you could get a Mike Vrabel?
They made such a big deal. Remember when they hired Gerard Mayo? I mean, supposedly Bill Belichick put the word in for him, and they love Gerard Mayo, and he's made some really bad decisions and said some really crazy things during the year. Were soft. A lot of the time management on the field, a lot of mistakes. I don't know, Jack. I mean, do you give him another year and more? I mean, he has no personnel at all. He's got no players. He really doesn't.
Yeah,
you give him another year.
Working his fit.
If you do get a Vrabel, I think you take Vrabel.
But you know what it is? You want your team, if they're going to have a poor record, at least finishing up the year with fight. And you lose 4-7 to the Chargers, you're not showing fight. That's why these games matter, like all the teams. I want the Jets the last couple of games to show some fight. If they're going to lose these games, if they're going to lose at Buffalo, I want to know they gave Buffalo a tough game. I don't want to, see that the Jets lost like 35-13, something like that. I would at least want a tough game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes you wonder if the players have a vote of no confidence in the coaching.
Yeah.
Well, with Eldrick, he's not going to be back as the head coach. I got to believe that might mean a little bit, because if a guy's a lame duck coach and everyone knows it, it's like you're a student. When you were a student in school and you had a substitute teacher, you might do the work that the substitute teacher gives you, but you're not going to make the extra effort to impress that sub.
Right. True. So back to Indianapolis and the Giants. Jack likes Indianapolis likes the Giants with 9 points. What do you think, Jim?
I think Indianapolis wins the game, but I don't think they cover the 9 points. Look, Anthony Richardson, he's an enigma. He's gone. He's not there today, but I think they could have used him to have a lot more effectiveness in the run. Jonathan Taylor's having a resurgence. The second half of the season, he's got 100 rushing games, 100-yard games, but they're gonna stack the box on him. So they're gonna expect Joe Flacco to throw the ball a little bit more, but I don't think they cover 9 points.
James, is Anthony Richardson the quarterback of the future or not?
No, unfortunately, I just don't see it just right at this point.
Mac, yes or no? Is Anthony Richardson their quarterback of the future, franchise quarterback?
Nope.
But I think they do come back with them next year.
For sure.
I think the jury is still out. I don't think it's conclusive either way for them yet.
I talked to Robert Butler. He says draft another quarterback. Guarantee. I draft the quarterback. Definitely. Yeah.
And I watched him in the NFL when he played for Florida. He's the same quarterback. You see some talent spots here and there, but it's the same guy. And he's
Mac makes an interesting point about drafting a quarterback. And, I've watched the Aaron Rodgers Netflix documentary when the Packers drafted Jordan Love. There's a big difference in drafting a quarterback high in the first or second round. If you have an older veteran quarterback like the Falcons had with Kirk Cousins, the Packers have with Rodgers at the time, you can get away with it. But when you have a young quarterback and then you draft another quarterback high, it's not like you're transitioning. Like with a veteran quarterback, you're thinking of the future like the Falcons did with Penix, okay? But it's a now move, basically.
Yeah. So you guys took Giants. I'm taking the Colts. The Giants cannot stop the run. Flacco will line up that secondary, and the Giants are lucky to score 7 points in a game. So I think the Colts just rout the Giants. Atlanta at Washington. Atlanta getting 4. Interesting. 2 young quarterbacks now. You got Penix Jr. Played okay. I mean, they made a big deal out of him. He was all right. It's not like he was thrown all over the field. He did what he had to do. I think he had 1 drop. Other than that, Washington, guys, is Washington for real? I mean, are they going to go into playoffs and win a playoff game? Or is this just a lot of fun? And I'm not saying they're not a good team. They're a good team. But they make a lot of turnovers. They're really young. I don't think you can have 5 turnovers against most teams and come back and win the game. I don't think that's going to happen. So, first, who do you think is going to win the game? We'll talk a little bit about whether Washington is real or not.
Yeah, I like the Commanders. I would give the points. As far as the other question goes, of Washington, it depends who they're playing, where they're seated. If they have to play on the road against Green Bay, no, they're not going to win a playoff game. They're a fun team. I think they're for real as far as being a future team, but I don't consider them any type of a serious threat to go to the Super Bowl. But maybe, with the right matchup, they could go on a magical run and win a playoff game.
Yeah, it'd be nice. It'd be nice. It'd be beautiful for Washington. How long have they waited, right?
They don't have to. Their fan base is thrilled that they're just getting to the playoffs. But like we said in the past show, they've set the bar higher. Then it's not going to be such a fun thing. The fans are going to want just a little bit more.
I mean, not that Houston's playing terrible, but look at the Texans this year. I mean, they fell off. And I know they had a couple injuries, but that happens to everybody. Last year, they looked like, last year it looked like hell. These guys are going to be, Super Bowl next year.
Well, that's what's good for some teams to have a couple of games left. Because with the, Texans, look, they get to play next week. Maybe they can straighten out. I'm not counting on it. I'm not counting on it now. They played a tough game against the Chiefs. But to get blown out against the Ravens, they didn't even score. I'm not counting the safety that they got. I mean, that was alarming. That was really alarming with the Texans. I mean, I hate to say it, they did look like they, had no fight in them against the Ravens.
Look, in a draft do-over, for this year, I'd take Jaden Daniels. Chicago probably. I have Chicago taking Jaden Daniels over Caleb Williams. He's the front runner for Rookie of the Year, and he's the main reason that this team is in the position that they're in. And so, yes, I agree with Mac. I think they could be scary if they get to the playoffs. They could be a surprise dark horse to win a wild card game to upset somebody. And a big part of that is Terry McLaurin and Jaden Daniels. Those two are like have a great chemistry and great connection with each other. So we'll see. But I do have to win this game against Atlanta, and they cover the spread.
Nice
Caleb
running.
would be a different play if he was with Washington, and Jaden Daniels a little different if he was with the dysfunctional Chicago Bears. Maybe you're right.
I don't think so. I think Caleb Williams has a lot of work to do on his footwork, on his technique, on holding the ball too long. I know that, the quarterback coach wasn't his friend there, but he has a lot of stuff that I told a lot of people. I said he would be a bust. I don't think he's going to be a bust. I think he holds the ball way too long, doesn't set his feet right, throws it up sometimes when he shouldn't throw it up. Throw it away. You throw the ball away. You don't have to try to make a play every time. So I think he did the same thing as USC, if you remember, Jack. A lot of touchdowns, a lot of interceptions. Got a lot to learn. I think he'll be good maybe a couple of years if they can get a good coach, a good quarterback coach, and a GM all on the same page. Good luck with that.
Well, how come no one talks about Drake May and evaluating him? It's like he's been given a pass. Does Drake May have more upside than the two of them, or what?
I don't think Drake May has the talent around him. I mean, nowhere near what Washington and nowhere near what Chicago has. So you got to evaluate. You got to give him a little bit of a pass. And then also, he didn't start the season out as well. He started out mid season. I mean, not even close to mid season. A little bit before mid season. So
I think the Patriots. I mean, I talk about the Giants. I think the Patriots may have the worst roster in the NFL. I mean, that offense is just. I mean, no.
Well, it's not Gerard Mayo's fault with the roster, the configuration. Then maybe I stick with him. I mean, if I don't feel another coach could do significantly better, then, he deserves to keep his job and, to move forward and let him grow as a coach.
If you think about it, Judon left. I know another cornerback. People left. Well, they left after Belichick got fired. Some of these guys just up and left Mayo with the holding the bag. And Jack, I mean, could you name a wide receiver for the New England Patriots right now?
No, they're really hurting on offense.
Oh my God. So yeah, you got to give it another year, maybe 2 years, and please draft and get some free agents. Robert Kraft, get that thing rolling over there. Because it's the Patriot fans. I mean, they'll be patient. They won a lot of Super Bowls. Well, I heard them booing last.
Matt, but they might be in position to draft Travis Hunter. There's a good chance. True. And if they do it to Patriots, I know you're against the two-way player in the NFL. I'm for it.
It depends.
They need a receiver in the worst way. You play him at corner with Christian Gonzalez as the other cornerback and have an elite duo, or do you let Travis Hunter be a receiver where he could be an outstanding receiver?
Yeah, 10%, 15% of the time. I wouldn't dare play him. There's the level of play between the college and NFL is drastically different. There's no way somebody can sustain that many snaps, 100 snaps a game or something, whatever he's doing. I'm sorry. It's unreal.
Yeah.
No one's ever done that.
And how can you not get a good receiver in the draft? The draft is full of good receivers. I don't understand. I don't understand how they don't do that.
Or pay somebody like T. Higgins. I mean, T. Higgins made himself some money. Higgins didn't
want to come. Higgins said no.
There's some drama going on in New York with Garrett Wilson.
Well, you said Higgins doesn't want to what?
He didn't want to go last year because they didn't have a quarterback. Maybe he will with Drake May now.
Yeah, maybe he will now. Yeah, for sure.
With Wilson, what, Jack?
There's some drama with the Jets with Garrett Wilson, and I can understand him being unhappy because Garrett Wilson at this point should be considered one of the best receivers in the NFL, and he's like playing second fiddle to Devontae Adams because of Rodgers' chemistry with Adams. You know, it's going to be a storyline today, guys, to watch. Aaron Rodgers is one touchdown pass short of number 500. It doesn't mean he's necessarily going to get it today, but the odds are he'll get one touchdown pass today. And he's going to want it to be to Devontae Adams because they were together all the years at Green Bay. So it's going to be interesting who he might target in the end zone. And if I'm Buffalo and the Jets are close enough for throwing the end zone, I'm double teaming Devontae Adams because that's his guy, you know. We badly want Rodgers to get the ball to. But could you imagine Rodgers throwing a screen pass or something that gets returned for touchdown for number 500 by someone like Chris Hall?
Hey,
that would be laughable in a way.
All right.
Jack, if I'm Garrett Wilson, I have every right to be upset because you're dependent on the quarterback to get you the ball to put the stats up. This is a kid before Aaron Rodgers even arrived that had 1,000 yards. We had a couple 1,000-yard seasons, right? But when Aaron Rodgers arrived, he didn't play the second season, and he still had 1,000-yard season. So get me the ball. I'm showing you I'm a true playmaker. I was drafted high for a reason. You need to get me the ball. If I'm Keyshawn Johnson, I'm 2.0. Throw me the damn ball.
Do you think he'd really rather throw to Devontae than Garrett Wilson? I don't think that's
Devontae's his guy.
Yeah, but I mean, who's open? I mean,
no. Listen, if I'm Garrett, it would bother me. You know, it's remarkable Devontae Smith, the Eagles' other wide receiver, you know, who's is 1A to A.J. Brown at Philadelphia. If I'm Devontae Smith at Philadelphia, it would bother me. I should be considered one of the best receivers in the NFL. Devontae Smith is better than C.D. Lamb, for example. I say that unhesitatingly. C.D. Lamb, you know, but he doesn't have a chance to show it with Philadelphia because the big throws are going to go to A.J. Brown, even though their passing game has been in question this year. There's been controversy surrounding that recently. But, you know, like, for example, with the Vikings, Jordan Addison understands he has to take a little back seat to Justin Jefferson because Justin Jefferson's arguably the best receiver in the NFL. I mean, at least in my opinion, he is, even though we can argue that. But in certain cases, you get these great receivers, and for them to be held back a little bit, I don't think they're selfish. They could get it done. Kyler Murray with Marvin Harrison, has that really worked out as well as it should have?
Not so far.
No. Marvin Harrison should be, you know, he should be great. No reason not to.
Not for nothing, but Kyle Murray is not the best passing quarterback in the league. I mean, he's okay, but he's no Justin Herbert. He's no Josh Allen. He's not a great quarterback that can get that wide receiver the ball all the time. You know, he's got to run around. He's got to see through people. He's got to get outside. I mean, it's not easy for somebody that size to throw the ball in the NFL, especially when these guys are 6'6", 280 pounds. So, I mean, I don't think he doesn't want to throw the ball at Harrison. Sometimes I just don't think he sees him, to be honest with you. You know,
he is 5'10", right? Right.
Yeah. Sometimes it's the circumstances, like Malik Nate, he hasn't had, I don't want to say hasn't had a quarterback with Daniel Jones, but the Giants have been a bit of a mess. So it's understood the situation sometimes with a receiver and why he's being held back a little bit. That's why certain of these receivers don't want to go to certain teams. You mentioned Higgins before, saying, well, he didn't want to go to New England, but now he might consider it because of Drake May.
But Malik is having a standout year. Malik broke the record for rookies with receptions.
Yeah, but
it could have been, what Jack's saying is it could have been a lot better.
It probably could have been a lot better. I agree. With that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
He's been real good. He's been worth drafting for sure.
Yes. So we're to Las Vegas versus New Orleans. I don't know if anybody really cares, but James.
I don't care either.
Believe it or not, the Raiders are a point favorite over New Orleans. There's nothing really to play for except pride, right? I mean, that's what you're playing for right now in New Orleans, in front of your fans. Will you have a lot of fans there? I don't know. Will Derek Carr, is he good enough to start again, James? I don't know.
No, he's still hurt. Spencer Rattler, look, their offensive line is decimated. Two of the starting guys again went out the center, which is Eric McCoy and Patrick went out. Chris Olave's not going to be there. Alvin Kamara's not going to be there. Derek Carr. So you got Spencer Rattler and a ragtag team going against Aiden O'Connell and their ragtag. So
yeah.
Now I judge Saints would win like by 3 points and like 18-15. But should I reconsider that now?
You probably should.
But the Raiders aren't much. But
no, they're not much better. No.
Now the rumors are that this is going to be it for Pierce. This year he's done. So that's what I just read.
What Davis, the owner's thinking, though, you just don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, we don't know what John Mara's thinking with the Giants with Brian.
John Mara, I got to call that guy. I got to tell him what's up because he doesn't know what's up anymore.
No, John Mara actually answers fans' letters and he writes them back, which is kind of but it's business-like in a certain way. You got to hit a chord. John Mara has to be told there's a difference between being involved and management. Okay. Every owner should be involved. You know, I don't expect an owner to not show up. Oh, you just handle it and leave me alone. You handle the football operations. I gave you the job. You have a right to ask questions, inquire, and sometimes overrule the GM and coach once in a while on certain decisions.
Yeah, I agree. Carolina +9 at Tampa Bay. Carolina's been playing good, and I've been pumping Sonia every week, and James has been like, stop it. But he didn't play good. I mean, why not? 9 points. I'll take 9 points against Tampa Bay. I'll take them.
But
go ahead.
They still have their work cut out, the Panthers, with 2 games left. Bryce Young put a few decent games together. Nothing special, but decent to lead us to believe, the Panthers should go with them next year, as their quarterback of the future and see how it works out. But if he comes up with 2 bad games in a row to end the season, I don't know what to make out of it at that point with Bryce Young. So these games are really important, for the Panthers.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to Tampa Bay. I think Bryce Young has been playing strong the last few games. Chuba Hubbard has really been a godsend for them as well. He's got over 1,000 yards.
Is he out today, Chuba Hubbard?
No, he's playing today. Chuba, I think he's playing.
Okay.
And but the Bucs are at home and they need to win their games. And I think they're going to try to be convincing to win their games, especially coming out that disappointing loss against Dallas. They got to come out and show that they're looking. Look, they need to win 2 games. And the Falcons need to lose 1. If the Falcons lose 1 of their games, Tampa Bay wins both their games, they win the division.
It's funny. You were talking before about drafting. You never know who you could get or what. So the Carolina Panthers get rid of Baker Mayfield so they could draft Bryce Young. But if the Buccaneers call them up and offered a 1-for-1 deal to send Mayfield back to ship Bryce Young to them, they would make the deal. The Panthers go back now.
Right.
Yeah, it's ironic.
Definitely. So we already kind of talked about Green Bay at Minnesota. Listen, a lot of people think Green Bay, including Jack, think Green Bay is going to do it. I still think people disrespect Minnesota. Minnesota only has 1 loss, and they're all like, the arm is falling off. The quarterback is having a throw an interception, and they just keep on winning. I love their defensive coach. I'm taking Minnesota at home. Take them at home.
Me too. I think so too. I think Minnesota is it's just too many games in now. There's too much evidence. They're dominant. I like Green Bay. I like the fact that they're doing good. They're showing a resurgence at the end, and they're going to be something scary in the playoffs. But so is Minnesota. Minnesota is really their defense. That they're built for playoff games. They are built. They got a good running game. They got a good passing game. Your quarterback takes care of the ball right now, and their defense is just otherworldly right now. So I think they win. They come spread too.
James, who has a better pair of receivers than Minnesota? Better. Some just as good. What's a better pair?
Well, I would say Cincinnati definitely has a better pair.
All right, a little bit.
No, it's funny if you ask that question in the beginning of the year. You know, you talk about Miami, Hill and Waddle. No one even talks about them now.
Yeah.
But early in the year, at the beginning of the season, I think Minnesota does beat Green Bay. And you know how Green Bay's my pick to win the Super Bowl. I see a 33-30 type game, a high score. I don't think this hurts Green Bay at all going into the playoffs. They clinch the playoff position. They'll be ready to go. They know they have to be on the road, and certain places are harder to play at than others. I mean, would you say the hardest place to play in of all the teams that are going to be in the playoffs, would it be at Detroit maybe because their fans are so hyper to finally get to the Super Bowl and so crazy noisy? I guess all the places are hard to play at. I don't mean to disrespect any fan base.
If Green Bay would have had, if the roles were reversed, if they would have had the number one seed, I think Green Bay would be hard because of the weather and the fan base. And so, but that's not the case. I mean, they're probably they're going to have the 6th seed maybe because they're third
in their division. The Eagles are going to finish. Well, the Eagles probably are going to finish ahead of the Packers, the Vikings, the Lions. You know, that's 3 teams right there. The Packers are going to be ahead of the Rams.
They'll be the 6th. They'll be the 6th. So and Minnesota will be the 5th. That's crazy. Minnesota's record, they're going to be a 5th seed. That's outrageous.
Yes.
Well, 2 plays 7, 3 plays 6, 4 plays 5. So if it's 3 plays 6, and they have to go to somewhere like 2 Philadelphia. I mean, I think the Packers would win there. And I could see Philly fan base going crazy. Fire Sirianni, it all falling apart. I think the Packers would go into Philadelphia and win point blank.
Wow. You talked about loud
stadiums. I really don't. I wouldn't look at it as much of an upset.
That's a bold take, Jack.
Loud stadiums. Philadelphia is loud as hell. I mean, Green Bay, I think because it's cold, it's muffled. I really do. I think they try to be loud, but that weather is so heavy you can't hear them. I mean, I think. But anyway, Philly's loud, and Kansas City is off the chart loud. So Dallas and Philly, guys. Dallas is getting almost 10 points, 9.5 points.
Yeah, I like Philadelphia. But Dallas isn't that good. You know, I know they won 4 out of their last 5 or so, but something's missing. Dak Prescott is allowed.
Yeah, but no CeeDee Lamb either. That's a big deal.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, Philadelphia in Philadelphia. If they lose this game today, Philadelphia, coming off the blown game to Washington last week, everyone's going to start panicking in Philadelphia because they're going to think of last year when they fought. And here it comes again, falling completely apart. It's going to be ugly in Philadelphia. It should, to lose to Dallas of all people, but to lose to anyone again, second game in a row at home.
Right. And look, if Philadelphia, if they win here, they clinch the division. It's clinched. Yeah. So
Dallas does not have a good running defense. So I expect, in the beginning, they'll stuff Barkley in the beginning, but by the second half, I think he's way over 100 yards. So I think they'll just ride Barkley as long as they can.
I agree.
Miami and Cleveland, who cares? There's another one who cares.
That's funny here in Florida. I can't see the Jet game, and I looked at the guide, so I can't see that. But I look at the 4:00 game. And I got one feature game there. And I got Miami and Cleveland. I mean, that's why they're torturing me with that, Miami and Cleveland, because you have to see the Florida teams play.
Sure.
Yeah. And Tyler Huntley versus Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Oh, Goodness.
Yeah, Cleveland's. Oh, you heard Cleveland is going to run it back with Deshaun Watson. Restructuring his contract wisely so. And obviously, I could see them drafting a quarterback, the Browns, if they can make it work with this that they like. And it's what it is. And listen, I'm not optimistic that Watson can be the quarterback he was again, because I thought he could be this year, and he really flopped this year. Didn't look good. But if Watson can somehow, be his old self, it would change things. And do you think Watson fell apart basically because of all the personal issues, or what the deal was?
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
It's terrible what, his level of play.
Well, what if they draft? What if they draft? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's pretty bad.
I mean, think about it. I'll let you go, James, right after this. Think about it. You put $250 million guaranteed dollars into a guy, and you already knew that there was lawsuits against him. He was going to be in trouble. That the fans were going to be ticked off at him. How I couldn't be able to play if every day I had somebody my lawyer calling me and telling me, guess what? You're being sued again. You might get arrested. I mean, how can you concentrate on playing football? I mean, I don't know what the Cleveland Browns ownership is thinking.
Let me answer your question. Deshaun Watson, when he was available, he was considered on the level of what Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are right now. So let's say Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen had all this baggage outside of this, football, but they were allowed to play. And you needed a quarterback badly. There's a reasonable chance he'd jump on these guys. If I could sign one of these guys, like your New Orleans Saints, if they could get Josh Allen, but he had baggage, you might say, well, okay, let that resolve itself, give him the money, and so on. It's what it is. That's
some serious baggage, though.
But he's been, but no criminal charges are brought against him.
Right.
Not yet.
No,
it's still open. Jack, it's still open.
They dropped all criminal.
The way it works, there's two ways it works. One, you get convicted criminally, and then they can civilly sue you. They can also civilly sue you, bring up some evidence that may get you criminally arrested too. It can go both ways. All I'm saying that is, if I had any player, and I don't care if he was Tom Brady, that had all that baggage coming to me, he ain't coming here. I don't need that. And it just shows the whole thing.
I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying the mindset, great players are given like latitude that others are given. You don't think if Patrick Holmes got into, I'm just throwing as an example, got into trouble with the law all of a sudden, something ugly took place, the Chiefs aren't just got him. But if it happened for a fringe play on the team, maybe not the Chiefs because Andy Reid is tolerant, but other teams would just cut that play. The Lions just cut someone because he had a DUI and this and that, and they cut him. They just got rid of him. If that was Jared Goff, you think they'd just get rid of him?
Hell no.
Just get rid of him? No.
Hell no.
No, they would. Maybe they would discipline him, perhaps one game, perhaps at most. And I don't even think that would happen.
I don't either. So our last game that we didn't talk about yet was Detroit against San Francisco. Listen, Detroit, are they the best team in the NFC right now? Possibly. San Francisco, in San Francisco, then San Francisco, get that last win of the season, again, playing for pride. They got a good coach over there. So does Detroit. I imagine this is going to be a battle. I don't think Detroit's going to is going to pounce on San Francisco. I think this is going to be a game. I think the San Francisco defense hangs in there. They got a pretty good running game. Purdy, okay. I don't know.
We keep hearing about playing for pride, Mac, and these teams are losing week after week. All of a sudden, the pride shows up. Come on, it doesn't work that way. Lions should win. I could see a competitive game, 27-20 or something like that, sure. Because say one about the Niners, they are talent. There's talent.
Yes.
You know?
The spread is only -3. They cover that.
I would think. Yeah. I would. Are the best team? They've been the best team most of the season, but it's where you are at the end, and they're going to face some stiff challenges from, the Vikings, the Packers, maybe the Eagles, and maybe, who knows, maybe another team is going to emerge. But if the Lions can play the way they were early in the year, they are the favorites to go to the Super Bowl, to finally get there the first time in franchise history.
Offensively, they have been. The question is really just going to be about their defense and how decimated they are at position, and how, in the playoffs, you need a great defense. So that's going to be
against a great team at a high level. I mean, when you go to playoffs, the level goes sky high. I mean, it's not, well, we lose this week, we'll get back next week. It's done. Their main running back, if I'm not mistaken, is out too, right? I'm trying to remember the main running back. He's out too. So, maybe it'd be a good game. Maybe not, but I'm with Jack. I think Green Bay, Minnesota is definitely a game.
Yeah, good game tonight, though. The Commanders and Falcons interesting because what's at stake between the Falcons and the Buccaneers. But for pure quality, the Vikings.
That's it for today, folks. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for the views. I think it's going to be a great game, Jack. Everyone have a great one. Be sure, NFL download tonight at 7 p.m. Mac and Jack Monday. Glove Fist Monday, 7 p.m. We got a bunch of shows for you today, a bunch of shows for you tomorrow. Stick with Roku. Have a great Sunday, and I hope, as always,